Nostalgia is a wistful or excessively sentimental yearning for a return to simpler times or some past period that really is irrecoverable. The condition no longer exists, and it probably didn't exist like you remember anyway. This description, coming partially from Webster's Dictionary, starts off today's episode, which is all about nostalgia and using your creativity to allow it to fuel you instead of distract you. Welcome to the Modern Creative Woman podcast, exploring the art and science of creativity. This is the podcast for women who want to elevate their creativity and start applying creative thinking in their everyday life. I'm your hostess and creativity expert, Dr. Amy Beckos. The Modern Creative Woman is obsessed with helping you build your creativity. Through our conversations and creative insights, I'll share simple tricks and practices that can help you take the mystery out of the creative process and start each day feeling empowered, creative, and ready to take on whatever comes your way. Let's get started. Welcome in, and I'm so glad you're here. Next month, inside the Modern Creative Woman, we are talking all about perfectionism, and it is a strategy, a technique, a tool that you can harness to use when it's efficient, and how to let go of those ways of thinking that get in the way of successful relationships, easy decision-making, and simple actions towards your values. So if this sounds like something that you would benefit from, I encourage you to hop on over into the show notes and register for the Modern Creative Woman all of August Perfectionism. It's going to be incredible. It's also the last call for the Paris retreat, the most unique, transformative experience you can possibly imagine. If you picture yourself on a riverboat cruise on the Seine on a lovely evening in September, that's what it looks like. If you imagine yourself feeling radiant from the inside out, that's what it feels like. The show notes have the link. You can message me directly from the show notes, and I would be happy to chat with you about this incredibly unique investment in your future. Let's hop into this conversation about nostalgia. I've been thinking a lot about people who are reminiscing and thinking something was better a long time ago. They kind of focus on what they miss about their youth, their childhood, something from the past, a relationship, a job, a situation, and what that does to sacrifice our connection with the present moment and our relationship with future progress. It typically involves some kind of distortion of our memories, and it's focusing on these quote-unquote good old days that gets us into trouble. Now imagine you have 100 acres of land, and they're all doing pretty good. Each acre gives you something glorious, either a garden or a view, but you become increasingly focused on this 1 acre of land that's amazing, it's the best, and you begin neglecting the other 99 acres that you have that are pretty good. That's what nostalgia is like. It's focusing on this 1 acre that no longer really even exists in our life, and we start to neglect what's in the present. It's our brain focusing on one aspect of the past or one experience from the past, and it's usually the good part, and we gloss over the bad parts. I've worked with women who talked about the one who got away, or the decision they wish they would have made, the opportunity they wish they would have taken. Milan Kundera, who wrote The Unbearable Lightness of Being, he's a Czech-French author, says that nostalgia is the suffering caused by an unappeased yearning to return. It's suffering. That's exactly what it is. I want to give you an example. Many people find themselves in a stressful situation, and a very simple way out of the stress is nostalgia. And many women think about the one who got away, the job, the loved one, and will find that during stress at their current job or in their current relationship, that they'll suddenly have really positive memories about that person that they broke up with 10 years ago. And if we go too far out on a limb with nostalgia, we can get into a lot of trouble. And many people begin to tell themselves a distorted story about someone from their past, and even someone that they had broken off with. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you're fantasizing about a past relationship, a past job, a place you used to live, ask yourself what else might be true here. What else might be true? And if you think about the big picture and you look at all your 100 acres of land, you'll probably start to remember that you left that job or that relationship for a reason. And you probably liked your reason at the time. That relationship had run its course. It was complete. You found different work that seemed very interesting. And if you ask yourself, would I make that same decision if I was in that situation again? The answer is usually yes, you would. You made the best decision at the time. We often struggle getting wrapped up in these daydreams about the past, of the good old days. And there's a real threat that happens to us with nostalgia. And we use it essentially for some kind of emotional regulation. And when we have negative emotions, we do a lot to try and feel better fast. And there's been some really interesting studies. When people feel socially excluded, that's a study from Seehausen et al. In 2013. When they have a feeling of meaninglessness, and that's Rutledge et al. In 2012. In those circumstances, a bit of nostalgia can help us feel connected. And during the pandemic, we were incredibly isolated. Loneliness, in another study, was found to bring up nostalgia as a way to feel less lonely. We imagine ourselves back in a time that felt less painful. And there's something that nostalgia does. It's kind of straddling avoidance of the present and an approach of the past. When we're feeling lonely, we tend to reminisce about better times. If we're not careful, though, nostalgia will take over in a way that can leave us feeling worse because we've checked out of the present moment and we're not taking care of those other 99 acres of land that we have, and we're just focusing on this one memory. Now, there are several ways that nostalgia can be approached that makes you feel good. It's when we use them in excess that it can take a negative turn. It can turn into some real negative consequences and take us out of the present moment. Some examples where nostalgia is taken too far is very extreme measures to maintain a certain youthful kind of appearance, to the point of ignoring what's happening now and only focusing on that. There are people that experience hoarding, this extreme nostalgia, and sometimes people are tracking down old partners or old friends, at 2 a.m. when they're feeling lonely. And at a much bigger level, we can run the risk of misremembering history when people glorify some kind of event in the past and forget that there were collective traumas that were a part of that, and racism and sexism and homophobia. And failing to remember the whole context of the past puts us in real danger of distorting the present. When you think about a mindset of nostalgia, remember, thoughts are not facts. That nostalgia is only giving you a partial memory of the past, and it really distorts our perception. The healthy version of nostalgia is savoring, and that's savoring a happy moment. When we're savoring something, we are attempting to feel really in full, satisfied, enjoyment, and we want to extend those positive experiences. When you think about savoring your favorite dish, you take a bite and you pause and really allow those flavors to come into your awareness. That's savoring. When you savor a happy memory, it really is good for your mood, and research shows that savoring a happy moment can make you happier. So if you pause here for a moment and ask yourself to call up a happy or a proud or a feel-good memory, I bet you'll feel a little zing of happiness. What's your happy memory that sticks out? Could be from today or 5 years ago. If you find yourself deep in reminiscence and you notice it, ask yourself, what is it that you're really looking for? Why did your mind wander in that direction? Are you feeling lonely? And that's often the case during nostalgia. Are you feeling unsatisfied with something happening in your current life? Or perhaps you're avoiding something, either avoiding a realization in your mind, avoiding a confrontation, avoiding change. If you have felt like nostalgia has been a big part of your life, think about when it appeared. What was happening? What was it that you are truly seeking? So the healthy way to look at our memories with savoring involves that happy memory and remembering how you felt, what you were doing, who was there supporting you. And often when we're savoring, we're able to recall some of the more challenging parts of that happy memory. You might have a happy memory with your kids and then remember, oh, that was a lot of work to get them in the car that morning. Or you might forget all that. But when you're savoring, you're not so bothered by maybe the challenging parts of it. On a more emotionally complex way, you can imagine a happy reunion with a friend you hadn't seen in a long time. And that happy reunion could only take place because you had been separated and you missed each other and you wanted to be together. So the happy memory that you're savoring only could emerge because of the sadness that you had felt missing your friend. If you've seen the movie Inside Out, you have a great visual for how our emotions are interconnected and the nuances of positive feelings, happy feelings, and uncomfortable feelings is really apparent in how the character's brain works. Being able to see the whole picture is your goal. Making contact with the present moment is also your goal. Let's talk about creativity and nostalgia. Being able to create those happy memories in your head, it feels good. And I wonder how you might translate the next step into a piece of artwork. It could be a collage, a painting, a drawing. What is it that you're looking for in nostalgia? And put that on paper. Is it you want more of those happy memories? Is it that you're missing something? When you consider all the options for why we use nostalgia, it makes sense. Neurologically, our brain wants a simple, fast solution to feeling uncomfortable. It's also seeking a way that does not involve taking in complex information, conflicting information, or having to make any kind of change. It's sort of obvious that nostalgia would be an easy thing to turn to. But remember, here at the Modern Creative Woman, we are focused on seeing the big picture, making contact with the present moment, and changing our relationship to our thoughts. The cure really becomes addressing your needs and your wishes and why nostalgia has shown up. There was a study in the European Journal of Social Psychology, and the author Verplanken discovered that after being exposed to nostalgic stimuli, the research participants who exhibited a strong habit of worrying before the study had increased symptoms of anxiety and depression. And it was statistically significantly more increase in worry compared to those people in the control group. In other words, the nostalgia really triggered for people who are kind of worriers, anxious, or a little depressed to become more worried, anxious, and depressed than they would have been had they not been exposed to nostalgia. That worry and focus on the past is a significant problem in people who experience depression. So if you're prone to habitual worry, nostalgia makes it worse. And the quote from Dante, there is no greater sorrow than to recall a happy time when you're feeling miserable. It really does make us feel terrible and have a negative impact. With savoring a happy memory, you got to get in and get out. Devote the time it takes. Maybe you're stopped at a red light. Devote that time to remembering a funny moment with your best friend and then let it go. Be very cautious with nostalgia. We need a balance of emotions in all things, including our sadness, our frustrations, and our nostalgia. It's normal and healthy to have a balance. Remembering one detail of the past and elevating it, focusing on it exclusively as a happy memory, does not serve us. If you have used nostalgia and felt worse, you're not alone. It happens. This is what it does. Here's what I would love for you to do. In the show notes on the podcast site, you have a button that says you can message me. Tell me your happy memory that you're savoring. You can message me there. You can DM me on Instagram. All those links are in the show notes. But tell me your happy memory. Savor it, get in, get out. Message it to me so I can experience that happiness with you. And know that it's a pleasant memory and we don't dwell there. We don't live there. We focus in the present. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Now that you know about how to use your creativity, what will you create? Want more? Subscribe to the Modern Creative Woman digital magazine. It's absolutely free and it comes out once a month. And I know you can get a lot out of the podcast and the digital magazine. Yet when you're ready to take it to the next level, I want you to know you have options inside the membership. And if you're interested in a private consultation, please feel free to book a call with me. Even if you just have some questions, go ahead and book a call. My contact is in the show notes, and you can always message me on Instagram. Do come find me and the Modern Creative Woman on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Dr. Amy Bacos. If you like what you're hearing on the Modern Creative Woman podcast, I want to give you the scoop on how you can support the podcast. You can be an ambassador and share the podcast link with 3 of your friends. You can be a community supporter by leaving a 5-star review if you think it's worth the 5 stars. And you can become a gold star supporter for as little as $3 a month. All those links are in the show notes. Remember to grab your free copy of the 21-Day Gratitude Challenge. The link is in the show notes, and you can find it at moderncreativewoman.com. Have a wonderful week, and I cannot wait to talk with you in the next episode.